Hi everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm Noreen, and this is my kitchen. Today we're opening up the freezer vault with 4 incredible make-ahead freezer meals that save time and money. They're easy, budget-friendly, and delicious, and they range from slow cooker favorites to cozy baked casseroles. Let's get right into recipe number 1. It is lasagna time. I don't hardly ever make lasagna, but today we're going to be doing some lasagna and we're going to be making it with the intention of freezer banking. You've never seen me make a lasagna. I thought I would share how I make it. It's super easy. This is very basic. This is not a lasagna bolognese. This does not have bechamel sauce in it. This is straight up old-fashioned my mom's lasagna. Okay, super easy. We're going to start off with, I have half a gallon of Rick's Irish spaghetti sauce. It's made with beef and pork, lots of mushrooms. I have more on the stove. I actually had 4 quarts total. And I like to use these oven-ready lasagna noodles. It doesn't matter what brand you use, they're all the same. I have 3 boxes because I don't know how many I'm gonna need. I have 5 pounds of ricotta cheese. I'm going to tighten up the cheese filling with some eggs. So I'm using essentially 1 egg for every pound plus 1 for good measure because I like my ricotta layer to actually keep its shape. I have some fresh grated Parmigiano Reggiano, and over here I have 4 pounds of freshly grated whole milk mozzarella, and all of our seasonings that we're going to put in. We've got some garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, parsley, basil, and black pepper, and that is all that goes into my lasagna. Now I have both containers of the ricotta cheese in here, along with about 2.5 to 3 cups of shredded mozzarella, as well as a cup of grated Parmesan. And now I'm just gonna do like my mom did, and I'm just gonna season this, okay? Now remember, this is a lot of cheese. It's not all going into the same pan, and I'm gonna use at least a tablespoon of each one of these seasonings. So there went the pepper and the basil. Here's some Italian seasoning, and here's some powdered garlic. And parsley, I just remember my mom always putting a ton of parsley. And here go our 6 eggs. And then you're gonna get in here and you're gonna mix everything up. Okay, we're ready to build up our lasagnas. And before I start, I wanna show you the foil pans that I got. Now you guys know I love a foil pan, but I always put parchment on top and then cover it with foil before I freeze it. Today I'm planning on freezer banking all but one of these lasagnas, and I'll show you how I prep them for the freezer after I get them all built. One of them is going to be put in the refrigerator and it's going to be baked off for tomorrow night's dinner. Now these pans are called 1/3 size steam table pans, and I got these at Sam's Club. Now this is not as large as a 9x13 or half steam table pan, which isn't quite 9x13. This size is perfect for my family to have 1 meal of lasagna with probably a leftover lunch. To build lasagna, it's pretty easy, and across the board this is what you want to do. Now we want to put a little bit of sauce in the bottom, like this. And then I'm using oven-ready lasagna noodles. That means you don't need to boil them first, and that's important. Then I'm going to put a layer of our cheese mixture. Don't be stingy. Spread this all the way to the edges. Then we're going to put more sauce on top, just like that. And remember, there's cheese, there's like grated cheese inside that cheese layer. Now this is meat and cheese lasagna because I have meat in the sauce, but I know that my mom sometimes would put a whole layer of meat that was mixed with a little bit of sauce in here. A cheese layer, a noodle layer, a meat layer with sauce, a cheese layer, a noodle layer, and you know, so on and so forth. So it's up to you. More sauce. And remember, these noodles are going to expand as they absorb moisture while they cook. Do not be worried that it's not going all the way to the edge. Now, I have 2 layers of cheese in here. I have 3 layers of noodles in here and 3 layers of sauce right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an extra layer of sauce. You wanna make sure there's enough moisture so that your noodles cook all the way correctly. Now, we're gonna get our mozzarella on. And then I'm gonna give it a sprinkle of Parmesan. And that's it. That's how easy it is to build a lasagna. Okay, I got all of my lasagnas done, and I got 5 of them, which makes me very happy. Now, I will say, I did have to add 1 jar of sauce to the sauce I had left. So This one down here has very little meat in it, but it's mostly cheese and sauce, so it'll still be delicious, but I am going to mark it so I know that this one's the one we should use last. All right, now I'm going to prep these to be put in the freezer. This one, either way, fridge or freezer, I'm going to prep them the same way. Now I have a piece of parchment paper, and then we're just going to put some foil on top. Now on my larger foil pans, I actually have lids that fit. These, I did not see any lids, but I'm sure I could probably buy them from a restaurant supply. I have some 2-gallon Ziploc bags. These are like storage bags. All the others are going to be put in one of these plastic bags. And I have instructions that I printed out on the computer. And this shows how to make it from thawed or from frozen. If you're going to put these in the freezer, then mostly you'll be able to just bake these from frozen. But I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to just kind of fold this under so that when I put this in the freezer, then it will behave itself. You can also put a little piece of, like if you have freezer tape, like from wrapping meat and stuff, you can put a little tape under there, but that's going to stack just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, it is the next day. It is Sunday afternoon, and we are getting ready to eat our lasagna dinner. I had this in the refrigerator overnight. I just popped it in a 350-degree oven for about an hour, and it's ready to go. I also want you to let it sit for at least 15 minutes after you take it out of the oven so that it has time to rest, reabsorb any liquids that have come out during baking, and then it will be a lot easier for you to slice. This is the best way I know of how to keep lasagna in your freezer. Just make sure you make a big batch of sauce and then you have enough left over. Plan ahead of time. Use the oven ready lasagna noodles and then just build those lasagnas up one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. Wrap them up, put them in your freezer, and you'll be good to go. We are going to make a sweet and sour chicken freezer meal that you can cook in your slow cooker or in your pressure cooker. This is going to be made in a zip top bag. We're going to be using one of our reusable ones. So to get started, you're going to need approximately 2 pounds. I'm using boneless, skinless chicken breast. You can use boneless, skinless chicken thighs if you like. You can cut that up into cubes. We want it to be somewhat uniform. And then we're going to also add, this is a medium-sized onion that I have sliced like into just wedges. 3 stalks of celery that I cut on the bias. And I have about 8 of those baby sweet bell peppers. And I just cut those in quarters, and if they were kind of long, I cut them in half lengthwise. We want everything to be approximately the same size so that it cooks evenly and it fits nicely in the bag and everything incorporates well. Now we're going to build our sauce. So we're going to need a 20-ounce can of pineapple tidbits. You can also use pineapple chunks or crushed pineapple if you like. It's a little easier if you don't use the crushed because we're going to be separating the juice from the pineapple here as part of our sauce base. So we're going to have the pineapple, a half a cup of ketchup, 1 cup of granulated sugar. You can choose to reduce this to half a cup if you like. And if you don't want to use real granulated sugar, you can use Splenda or erythritol if you like, same amount. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Again, you can use a brown sugar substitute here. A half cup of apple cider vinegar. A 1/4 cup of cornstarch. 4 cloves of minced garlic. Approximately 2 tablespoons of lemongrass paste. This is optional if you can't find it. I buy this in a tube in the produce section. If you can't find it, you can leave it out. It's really no big deal. We're also going to add approximately 3 to 4 tablespoons of minced ginger. This I also buy in a paste form in a tube from the produce section. You can use less if you like. And approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of dark soy sauce. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour off this pineapple juice from the can. You don't have to like squeeze it out or anything, but just get the majority of it in there. And we're gonna add our ketchup. Everything for the sauce just goes in all at one time. Our water, granulated sugar or substitute, brown sugar or brown sugar substitute, apple cider vinegar. If you have just plain white vinegar, that works too. Soy sauce, our ginger paste, our lemongrass paste, our garlic, and I'm going to just give that a bit of a zhuzh. Now we're going to go ahead and put our cornstarch in here and get a whisk. Now this is not going to be thick because in order for this to thicken, it has to have heat applied to it. But adding the cornstarch right to the sauce before you make the freezer meal helps all of this come together, and then if you put it in your slow cooker or your pressure cooker, it's going to thicken up nicely as it cooks. It looks kind of ugly right now, but as it cooks, I promise it's going to look wonderful. Now we're going to put all of this together. Our chicken is going to be first thing to go in the bag, and then we'll add the pineapple, onion, bell pepper, and there goes our celery. And now all we have to do, I'm going to give my sauce one last stir, and we're going to pour it over. Now, you just want to take it off of this stand and seal it up. Now, when you seal it up, you want to try and press as much air out of it as you can, if that's possible. Okay, helpful hint, top tip, whatever you want to call it. Please make sure that your seal is 100% sealed, nice and tight, before you lay it down on the counter. Because I just did that and it spilled. It was ugly and messy, but I caught it in time so I didn't lose a whole lot of the sauce. So, my tip here was that if you have some bread pans, to put your bag inside this and then freeze it, because this way you'll be able to put it in your slow cooker or in your pressure cooker. It'll have a bit of a bottom. It won't be, this bag is extremely full. You can of course make less of a recipe if you like, or you can divide this into two, and that way you'll have less in the bag. You'll be able to store it small. You can actually put this on a baking sheet and freeze it flat, and you can thaw it out overnight in your refrigerator until the day you're going to cook it, and then you can just pour it into your slow cooker or your pressure cooker. If you're going to make this in your slow cooker from frozen, you're going to want to put it on high for 6 to 8 hours. If you're going to cook it thawed, if you thaw this in your refrigerator for 24 hours, then you're going to want to pour this into the vessel and cook it on low for 4 to 6 hours. If you want to cook this in your pressure cooker, I recommend that you thaw it overnight, that you pour it into the vessel, and that you consult your manufacturer's instructions or use the presets for meat, chicken, however your particular brand of pressure cooker works. I would cook it on the meat setting for 30 minutes and allow it to come down on natural pressure instead of a quick release. What I'm gonna do, rather than freeze this off, is I'm gonna go ahead and cook this for dinner in the pressure cooker, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like all cooked up, and then that way you'll be able to see the finished product, and I think that you're really going to enjoy it. So we'll be back in just a moment. Well, there you have it. Our sweet and sour chicken is fresh out of the pressure cooker. I cooked mine in my 6-quart pressure cooker. I do not have an Instant Pot brand pressure cooker. I have a different brand. I used the chicken setting. I increased it to medium pressure, and I also increased it to 25 minutes, and I let it come up to pressure, cook all the way, and then I let it come down off natural pressure instead of quick release. And now we're ready to eat. We've steamed some rice. We're ready to go. It's going to be perfect freezer meal. You pull this out whenever you're ready and pop it in whatever is convenient for you to cook. Well, that's how you make a delicious sweet and sour chicken slow cooker freezer meal. Really easy, really quick, really economical. This is perfect for freezer banking. I'm actually making a double recipe of this, but I'm only showing you a single recipe's worth of ingredients because one I'm going to make and bake for dinner, and then the other I'm going to prepare for the freezer so that you can have the best of both worlds. You can see a finished casserole after it's baked, and you can see one ready to go in the freezer. In order to do that, you're going to need 12 ounces of rotini pasta. If you're making a double batch, this is literally a box and a half of rotini pasta. You're gonna need 1 jar, this is a 16-ounce jar, of your favorite Alfredo sauce. We're gonna need a couple of cups of shredded Italian cheese blend. I have 1 can of sliced mushroom stems and pieces. I'm going to be using the liquid that comes in the can. I have 3 cans of albacore tuna. You can use your preferred type of tuna. I'm also going to be using the liquid from that can. I'm going to be using 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and 1 cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumb, and 1 cup of Italian seasoned panko breadcrumb. And then we're going to butter that up with about a half a stick of butter. If you need to make your creamy mixture a little creamier, we're going to add about a half a cup of milk. So I'm going to boil all the pasta for both casseroles, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to mix one together. Okay, our pasta has boiled and it's all ready to go. We're going to mix up 1 casserole for you right now. This is really simple, you guys, and that's the beauty of this type of recipe, is that it just goes together super fast. I went ahead and I put that milk in this jar. I'm going to shake it up and I'm going to get all that little bit of sauce that was clinging to the side out of there. There goes our Parmesan cheese, our mozzarella, in with our mushrooms. You can leave those out if they're not something you enjoy. And then in with our tuna. And I failed to mention at the beginning of the video when we were going over all the ingredients, I use tuna packed in water. That is my preference. I think for this recipe, that is really something you should consider. I don't think using tuna packed in oil is going to be really good here. And then we're going to want to go in here with our spoon and stab it, break up that tuna. You don't want to break it up too much, but you also don't want these giant clumps of tuna in there. Now keep in mind, I boiled the pasta until it was just toothsome, or al dente is what, you know, everyone is familiar with. So it's got a little bit of chew to it still, because once we put this in the oven, it's going to finish cooking off and it's going to absorb some of this liquid, and it's going to be perfect, and it's going to season everything up, and it's going to be really, really nice. Now this doesn't really need any other seasoning. It's got enough salt in it. You could put a little pepper, maybe a little onion powder if that was your preference. I'm going to leave it just the way it is, because once we put those buttered breadcrumbs on the top, it's going to be delicious. Now we're going to pour this into a casserole, and you have a nice amount of casserole here, honestly, and we always have enough for dinner plus leftovers for at least a couple of lunches. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the buttered breadcrumb, and I'll be right back. Now we're going to make our buttered breadcrumbs. So I have my half a stick of butter that I have melted, and it's nice and sizzly. I have this over medium-high heat. And now we're just going to go in with our breadcrumb. Now I've used both regular and panko, and that's because I found that this makes the nicest texture for the top of the casserole. You're going to want to keep stirring this. Don't turn your back on these breadcrumbs, and gently move them around until they're nice and nutty brown. So when these are ready, I'll meet you over the counter and we'll put these on. Okay, here are our breadcrumbs, and they just have a little bit of a golden toast on them, and that's exactly how you want it. And you can hear it. They smell fabulous, right? And you can hear them sizzle just a little bit as you put them on top of your creamy tuna casserole. And then what I want you to do is just come in here and give everything a little zhuzh around, just so that everybody gets a nice amount of those breadcrumbs. Our casserole is ready to go. At this point, if you would like to bake it off, you would just pop this in a 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes until it was golden brown and bubbly, and then you would be able to have it for dinner. This one I'm going to put in the freezer. So at this point, we're doing nothing else. We're not going to bake it, because if you bake it off and then freeze it, you're really just eating leftovers. Nobody wants to do that. I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper, and this is only to help with freezer burn. I also am going to take this foil lid that is made specifically for these foil pans, and they just fold under. We're going to go ahead and grab our Sharpie marker, because your kitchen drawer should not be without one. And then we're going to put creamy tuna, and then you're going to bake from frozen at 450 degrees for 1 hour, remove top, bake an additional 15 minutes until brown and bubbly. And that is actually how I would do it. I'm going to just stick this in my freezer. I have a quarter sheet pan underneath this, and I will be putting that in the freezer with it until it is completely frozen. Then I'll remove the sheet pan, and it'll be able to stack nicely. Another thing I do like to do sometimes is get a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, which I'm out of right now, and this pan will slip just right into a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, and it will seal beautifully. That gives you another barrier against freezer burn and helps keep your food nice and fresh. This will keep in the freezer as is for up to 3 months. And if you put it inside of a Ziploc bag, it will last an additional 3 months. So keep that in mind. And that's how you make this delicious creamy tuna casserole and get it ready for freezer banking for when you know your life is going to be super busy, and you'll be able to just pop this right out of the freezer and into the oven, and boom, you don't even have to think about it. Our creamy tuna noodle bake has been in the oven for about 30 minutes. You can see that the breadcrumb topping is perfectly golden brown. It didn't get overly brown. My rule is, if you can smell it, you should check it. And that is a good rule to follow, because when you start smelling the beautiful aroma coming from the oven, that gives you an indicator that it's almost done. Another indicator here is you can see the creamy sauce has started to bubble up in the corners, and it doesn't need to be vigorously bubbling. It just means it's completely heated through and everything is ready to eat. I always say let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes before you serve this, especially if you have young kids, because you don't want anyone burning their mouth on this delicious creamy sauce. I wanted to serve this on camera for you guys so you could see it. So we'll just dig right in here. You can see how beautiful that is. You even have a little bit of cheese pull from the mozzarella cheese. This casserole is easily going to serve 4 to 6 people. We are 4 people, and you know that. So we never eat all of this at one time. We always have plenty left over for lunches. This is a fabulous dish, and it's just a nice alternative to a normal, like a cheddar American cheesy kind of tuna casserole. That brown butter breadcrumb, that will make any casserole go to a different level. That is how you make this creamy Alfredo tuna bake, and you make one for dinner, and you make one to put in the freezer, so the next time you don't know what you're going to cook for dinner after a long busy day, you know you have this squirreled away in your freezer. Take my creamy ranch chicken and we're going to turn it into a freezer meal. I have approximately 2.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. Boneless, skinless chicken thighs are going to work here as well. You're also going to need 1 medium sweet onion sliced. I have 1 cup of my homemade big batch ranch dressing mix. This is a favorite in our house, and I have adjusted this recipe to our taste. If you want to start off with a 1/2 cup of the ranch dressing, then that's what I recommend. You can buy this in bulk commercially. The Hidden Valley Ranch makes it. You can get it in a big container, or you can refer to my big batch ranch dressing video, and I will link that down below. We're also going to be using 2 bricks of cream cheese, and I've cut that into cubes. Now, I usually don't advocate for freezing cream cheese because it says so right on the label, do not freeze. However, we're going to be slow cooking this, so it's not going to be a problem because it doesn't matter if it breaks anyway, because once you get this in the slow cooker and it makes that sauce and mixes with everything else, it's all going to be fine. We're also going to be adding a couple of cloves of minced garlic, and that really is it here. I have used 3, I buy the family pack of boneless, skinless chicken breast, and there are usually 6 chicken breasts in a package. So I have used 3 here, and I've cut them into larger pieces, only because it helps with the final product here. Next up, I was going to put my onion in, but first I think I'm going to put my ranch dressing in. And I know on the surface that seems like a lot of ranch dressing, but trust me. I'm going to go in with my onion. Again, if you don't like onion, don't put onion. Freezing the onion is actually going to tame it a little bit, so keep that in mind as well. And then we're going to put our cream cheese cubes. Let's see if I can do this without having to get my hands in there. Brilliant. And now we're ready to seal this up. So, just like always, kind of tamp it down a little. And because the cream cheese is really soft, it's going to be a little malleable. Again, this doesn't have any sauce in it, so there's no liquid, so don't worry about it. Just, you want to get that in the bag. And this is also going to be another great place where you can use our loaf pan trick. I still feel a little bit of air in there, so let's squeeze the air out, and we're good to go. Now, the reason I do it like this is because my slow cooker is going to take this shape when it's fully frozen. So is my pressure cooker. So you want to keep that in mind. If you want to freeze these flat on a sheet, so that you can do them file folder style in your freezer, you go for that. But you're gonna have to thaw those out before you cook them in your slow cooker or in your pressure cooker. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cook this up for you, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna show you what the finished product looks like. It's ugly right now, but I promise you it's gonna be delicious when we have it for dinner. Okay, today is the day we're gonna make our creamy ranch chicken for dinner. We're gonna have this on rolls. We have our frozen creamy ranch chicken right here in the bag. I went ahead and ran it under some warm water just to loosen it from the bag. And in the perfect world, you're gonna be able to just pop that right out. But like in the last one, if you just need to grab your scissors, it should just slip right out. Now in this one, I would say you don't have to add any water, but I do like to add a little bit. So about 1/4 to 1/2 cup, whatever's your preference. We're gonna pop the lid on this. Since we are cooking it from frozen, I'm gonna put it on low for 6 to 8 hours. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna shred it up. You have a couple of ways you can do that. I'm gonna show you what those choices are, and I'll be back when this is ready to go. Okay, our creamy ranch chicken has cooked, it's all finished, and we broke it all up. Now you have a couple of options. First, I will say, this cooked for approximately 6 hours, and halfway through, I started mine on high, and then halfway through I turned it down to low. And once the meat was perfectly tender, which ended up being around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I started it at around 10, so yeah, 6 hours. And then I like to go in there with my tongs and just start breaking it up. But I also have one of those meat breaker upper thingies that you use for ground beef. Rick is gonna hand it to me, it's over on the other side. One of these were made popular by Pampered Chef, but this I think I bought at Walmart. These are great for breaking that up. If you have a lot of chicken and you wanna get it done in a quicker fashion, you can also just fire up your hand mixer and put it on low and get it all broken up, and it's going to be great. So now what we're going to do is we like to eat this on sandwiches, so we put this on brioche buns, and you can just eat it just like that. Rick likes to put Frank's Red Hot on his buffalo and make it like a buffalo style. I like to put sweet pickles on mine. The girls just eat theirs plain. We usually have it, like I said, with some salad or some fries that we either bake in the oven ourselves or pick up from a local joint. This would be equally as delicious served over rice or noodles or even mashed potatoes if that's something you would enjoy. This has a lot of possibilities. It's super flexible, it's very versatile, and I think that you're gonna love it. It has that creaminess from the cream cheese. It has all of those seasonings and herbs from the ranch dressing mix, and it's just delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and build you a sandwich, and I'm gonna come back and we show you what it looks like. Well, there you have it. Our creamy ranch chicken sandwich is all ready to go, ready to have for dinner, and this is a perfect dinner for one of the nights where both girls are off. One is doing school project, it's one of the nights she's late, the other one is working. We all won't come together until later, and if we all want to eat separately, that's going to work for us too. This is great right now. It's great left over, and I think I mentioned this is delicious cold. Call me crazy, but this really is like a chicken spread that is incomparable. It really is delicious. It's great cold on crackers, and you would not even believe it. It's like an upscale version of that Underwood chicken spread in a can that used to be good but isn't so good anymore because now it's just all greasy and gross. But this stuff, when it's chilled, is really phenomenal and makes a lovely cracker spread or a spread for a sandwich. You know, no judgment. It's just really good. So, like I said, Rick's gonna put some buffalo sauce on it. I'm gonna put some sweet pickles on mine. You're gonna serve it however you like for your family. Throw a few sides at them. Make it a good hearty meal, and it's gonna be fantastic. This is a great freezer meal to have in your freezer. You can see it all came together quite nicely, and everything is just beautiful. I hope you give this creamy ranch chicken freezer meal a try sometime soon, and I hope you love it. And until next time, I'll see ya.